All right, so welcome back to Recover America. This is our Volume 2 series on our continuing education, really designed to help restaurant operators kind of navigate the waters of 2021 and who knows what could be happening down the road in the future. Many of the topics that we will be covering here on Recover America will have a group of executives, experts, brand leaders, celebrity chefs, all sorts of personalities throughout our several volumes over the next few months that will really start to break down some of the bigger questions in the industry. And one of them is the amazing consumer shift that is happening right now. And today we thought, hey, let's get a couple of brand leaders on that are keenly positioned to really target in on this kind of this evolution of the next generation consumer. With me today, I've got Mark Mears, who is the CMO of Saladworks, and also Peter Yang, who is the co-founder of Pokeworks. So it's the battle of the works here, guys.
Indeed it is, but we're on the same team.
That's right. I like that.
Right.
And gentlemen, thank you so much again for being part of the session. I think this kind of camaraderie in the industry is one that I've been around the industry for a long time, and it's always one thing that I've been able to say about the restaurant industry is that everybody seems to want to help each other, regardless of the competition level. So thank you so much for doing that today. Let's jump into the conversation. And I'll kind of go back and forth with both of you, Mark and Peter, but we'll lead off with Mark on a little bit about Saladworks and kind of your guest makeup, because this is really about the next generation consumer. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Saladworks, we just opened up our 120th location. And ironically, and I know we're going to get to this, but it was in a Kroger in Cincinnati. And
wow,
it really reflects the guest makeup. The question that you asked is that our kind of core target are millennial families and Gen Z right behind them. So if you think about millennials represent 30% of our population and Gen Z a little bit more with 32%, we feel like we're poised to look after 62% of the U.S. population with who we are and what we serve, and really most importantly, how we want our guests to feel about Saladworks. Our purpose is we fuel originality, which is based on our brand position, be original.
Yeah.
Hey, we're all different. We all have different unique wants, needs, desires, passions in life that we want to pursue. And at Saladworks, we want to be more than just a meal that sates an appetite. We want to help fuel your originality so that you can pursue your passions and live your best life. And we think that we're at this confluence really of four key macro trends. The first is this idea of demographics, like I mentioned, but the second is the psychographic aspect of that target audience. And I call it the for me mindset.
Right.
This isn't the me generation, but it's this notion of personalization, get to know me, customization, make it for me, and self-expression, let me be me, and then finally, and very importantly, connect with me, but connect with me in a way that's relevant to my life stage and lifestyle, and connect me to something bigger than myself. And I think that is what helps to create a unique and differentiated brand experience at Saladworks and allows us to appeal to that target audience in a way that's more relevant and more empathetic and really more human.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you hit on a lot of points we'll be discussing. There is kind of a new universe that's been created for today's modern consumer. It's a completely different set and makeup in terms of how people are going to serve that market in the future. Peter, I want to get into your brand with Pokeworks. When I had a chance to research it, I was very impressed with, one, your brand style and kind of the connection of you and the brand, meaning you, and your customers. I looked at your social media. I started looking and digging into what people were saying about you, and you seem to have a very, I won't say fanatical audience, but you do have a good customer base that seems to really appreciate it. What is your makeup in terms of guests, and how have you been able to kind of create that that buzz around Pokeworks?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have to echo a lot what Mark mentioned. Our customer base is majority millennials and Gen Z, quickly becoming a major base for us as well. We target fun, healthy, active lifestyle individuals, and our product itself it travels well for on the go kind of lifestyle, which resonates with millennials and Gen Z. And we connect through them, like Mark said. Gen Z's, millennials, they value self-expression, flexibility. They're very, very digitally connected, so we've tackled those channels through our social media presence. We had a video back in 2017 that I think has 50 million views to date, it was things like that that
Hmm.
really connected us to our demographic. Um, yeah, and sustainability is a core value of ours, and we show that through our food, our restaurants, and I think a purchase big or small, consumers now they want to buy something that
Right.
harbors a strong sense of purpose and mission. We invest heavily in sourcing the right ingredients with social and
Yeah,
environmental
absolutely.
sustainable
Let's jump
requirements.
into kind of the brand definers that are happening because I am watching, I'm a big study of the fast casual sector, of the emerging casual dining sector that was kind of repopulating the casual dining scene until COVID hit. With companies like Matchbox and those types of operations that had kind of really redefined casual dining. One of the things that I've noticed is that brands that are successful with this, there's a handful of them that kind of have put out a really good footprint in terms of brand connectivity. Chipotle is the obvious one, their connectivity to real food. Mark, when you look at your brand connectivity and kind of how you guys created a DNA for Saladworks, was there anything specific that you kind of put up on the drawing board or have as a core value that says, hey, this is really what we got to stand for to be able to address this new age consumer?
Yeah, there is, Paul, and it's this word wow, and we think there's power in wow. And the idea is that we have a brand filter that includes all of our shared values, but they all ladder up to the brand position of be original.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about the brand filter, is a screen of everything we do. We want it to
Yeah.
be a wow. And so at the end of that funnel is this notion of be wow. And what it really means is creating wow moments for our guests. We know the headwinds that are facing the industry are strong. And guess what? They were strong before COVID, and they're going to be even stronger going forward as some of these other macro trends, such as a proliferation of food service choices, has grown. The lines have blurred between QSR, fast casual, casual, polished casual, and they started that process years ago. But
Yeah.
now, when you add in, grocery retailers, you add in ghost kitchens, food trucks, heck, we're even testing a salad robot. The lines of demarcation between categories have blurred, but the one thing remains the same, and that is, for us to be successful, we know we have to be unique and differentiated in what is essentially a sea of sameness.
Right.
And to do that, we've got to create these wow moments that are more, again, than just sating an appetite, but really creating that feeling that the guest walks away with that says, Saladworks helps me fuel my originality to live my best life. And
Yeah.
that point of demarcation, or the point where we know that we're there, is when we see our scores go up and guest satisfaction. We see our comments in social media go up, but most importantly, we see return visits and recommend, and
Mm-hmm.
more and more people joining Saladworks Rewards to be part of this movement. And that's what we
Mm-hmm.
really want to create in the movement.
Right. I'm curious, in your category, I mean, there is an 800-pound gorilla by the name of Sweet Green. They kind of have owned the salad business and kind of almost in a way, like Chipotle, though they weren't the first, kind of put it on the map for America. And with that kind of competition out there with Saladworks, Mark, how do you differentiate? How do you say, okay, this is where we're different. This is how we can really address this new consumer?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and certainly we respect Sweet Green as we respect all of our competitors in the salad space. But We were the first. Back in 1986, we actually started the salad entree fast casual movement before anybody else had entered the
Wow.
market. And we have over 60 fresh, flavorful ingredients. So you can create a salad as original as you. And we also have 12 signature menu items that can be made as a salad, as a grain bowl, or as a wrap. So
Right.
again, the combinations for customization are endless. So we know that salad in and of itself has kind of this inherent health halo, but
Mm,
you know as well as I do, you can put extra dressing on it. You can put other ingredients on it to make it maybe less as
sure.
healthy. We think someone like a Sweet Green is looking for a little more of that niche kind of urban appeal, a little more to Gen Z than we are. We're in more suburban locations. We're
Right.
more millennial families, and so we don't salad shame. You be you. You can get whatever you want on a salad, and we're happy to make it for you. And I think that's the differentiation is we're
Yeah.
the salad for everybody.
I like that. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good argument. I love that, Peter. When you look at differentiation, Pokeworks, of course, is one of the few brands that's been able to take poke and break it out and really create a solid category for that area of ethnic food, especially in fast casual. Talk to me about how you guys were able to achieve that, because trailblazing in some of these categories like this is pretty hard. What did you guys feel like you did right that helped you get where you are?
Yeah, yeah. We're a little bit younger as a company. We were founded in 2015. We just opened our 60th
Yeah,
location this past weekend. But like you said, we had to really educate America on what poke was, and we're the pioneers of the poke burrito, which really helped put poke on the map and definitely put Pokeworks
yeah,
on the map. And since then, we've been really doing our best to continue being the largest and fastest growing poke brand. Um, and I think what we did right, is just having a solid core product, and making sure that flavor of having fresh quality ingredients um, is is
yeah,
always there for our customers, and providing hospitality, because the core of everything that we do is hospitality. So we have to make sure that every time they come in, they're greeted with a smile, with an aloha. Um, their food is consistent, and we want to keep
yeah.
having them coming back. So it's really just to the basics. I don't think we did anything crazy. I think we just really nailed down on the basics of running a good restaurant.
A lot of times that gets lost in hospitality and the restaurant industry is people who execute really well on the basics are usually the ones that turn out to be Chipotle, and I mean, we've seen it already kind of unfold in the battle of the burritos when you saw Baja Fresh and Chipotle kind of go head to head in the early 2000s, and Chipotle won. It was a pretty clear delineation of how they were able to stay true to their roots of what they were. Great hospitality. It was a little different model, but they really stayed solid on their food. And sure, they've had some challenges, but they've really come out pretty great. I want to talk to both of you about this movement toward digital and kind of the groups of consumers that are starting to fuel that. I just saw the date. I don't keep want to talking about Chipotle, but they just released their earnings related to digital sales, absolutely over the top in terms of expectations. And I've talked to many other brand leaders in the category of both full service, casual dining, even QSR, and obviously fast casual. They've seen this massive shift. Here's my question. When you have Gen Z and you have the millennial families and the emerging millennial, we'll call them soon to be managers, that they're starting to get jobs that they're the decision makers, all right? And that's really starting to delineate between the two markets. We actually have two big categories right now. How do you guys deal with that crossover because those two markets have a lot of similarities, but also have so many differences? I'm just curious how brands are able to address both of them. Peter, can you take that?
Yeah, just transition. We were definitely seeing the same thing as Chipotle. A lot of, especially with COVID. a lot more volume through 3PDs. And the question is, how do we elevate our presence on those channels for both millennials and Gen Z? And it really comes down to three key areas: digital presence, the in-store operations, the product execution, the accuracy, the speed, and the space designing, and how do we interact with the drivers coming in and out? How do we make sure it doesn't interact with the walk-in traffic? But one thing we learned was really interesting. We had a little incident in one of our stores where one of the online one of the platforms, the pictures were removed one day, and our sales dropped 30%.
Wow.
And after we figured out the bug, we brought it back, and the next day it popped right up. But that really showed the importance of the pictures that you have on these online menus through DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever it is that you're on. But photos is everything. You really want to make sure you represent your brand as well as you can through those pictures. And since then we've done a complete photo shoot to make sure we update all of our photos across all platforms, so we have a consistent brand image, regardless of which platform you're on. And we really seen really working together with the 3PD partners. I know a lot of restaurateurs will say they're the necessary evil or whatnot, but we really see them as true partners, especially during these times.
Right.
And they're providing a lot of marketing efforts. One that was very successful was they had a supper for support where it was $10 off, purchases over 30, and they gave the credits to the restaurants. So and being on that campaign, restaurants were featured on their social media, which reached millennials and Gen Z, and they featured these restaurants in their revolving top listings.
Right.
And another one was the go back to school,
Okay.
back to school promotion that Grubhub also.
Yeah.
And that definitely hit with the Gen Z population.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Mark, with yours, how did you delineate or kind of deal with the two categories of millennials and Gen Z as they start to really converge there?
Well, as I mentioned, and I've done a lot of research on this and been to a lot of symposiums and webinars and books and whatnot, and there is no black or white to the two demographic groups. There are many shades of gray, but those four things that I mentioned: personalization, customization, self-expression, and connection, are four that I believe connect the two together in little slightly different ways. But the first one is important, and I like the fact that you referred to it as hospitality. So often we talk about the restaurant industry as if it were banging out machine widgets or something. I mean, we're actually in the people business, and when you kind of strip it all away, that's all we are, is people. And I like to say that if you're going to be successful working in a restaurant, you got to love people and love food, and in that order. And so if you do, you're going to humanize even the digital touch points. You're going to make them more personal and give people that same sense of wow that they would have if you were serving them in person. And so that's the challenge, is how do you take technology, and we've all heard the term mass customization, but truly that's what it's about, is how do we make people feel like they deserve as a human being, needing to be served a meal, and yet do it on a scalable basis. And I think that when COVID first came out, we kind of created this sub-theme called "We're here to serve you." And every one of our communications were about being empathetic, being human, and being solutions minded, and not opportunistic or not tone deaf. And I think that really helped us with the hearts of our guests. And I like to say that there's a very short distance between your heart and your wallet. And if you can capture their heart, then you're going to get them to want to come back and spend more with you, and obviously be an advocate for you. And that's when you know you've created a movement.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting to see, I've talked to, hundreds of executives over the past few years on this very topic of third-party delivery, takeout, kind of the shift that was occurring pre-COVID. when you look at today's consumer, because we have data that we just released on the previous volume here on Recover America, or volume 1, if you guys are watching this live right now or maybe on demand. Volume 1, go back to that and look at one of the research sessions that we did on delivery takeout primarily, and then some extended research on ghost kitchen. But here's the question. In the delivery takeout data that we were studying, what we found was that companies that utilized, whether it was bounce back types of promotions or other kind of incentives, when they used a third-party delivery company, the potential of getting that customer to go to direct takeout was extremely high. Surprised us. This is since COVID. Pre-COVID, we went back and looked at numbers, and not as many people were doing it, so the data set was smaller, but the percentage of direct to takeout was much less. Why do you think that is now? Is it consumers are concerned about third-party delivery, or is it truly finally have we hit the wall in terms of cost value proposition for the guest themselves? Either of you can take that.
I'll start and then let Peter jump in. I think that's an interesting study, Paul. I can't wait to go back and look at it because
Yeah.
it runs a little counterintuitive than what I've thought and what I've been
Exactly.
told is that each of the third party providers are their own ecosystem. Right. So if you're a Uber Eats guest, then you kind of say, what am I in the mood for today? And I know Uber Eats can reliably deliver it to me where I'm at, my home, my office, wherever, right? Or DoorDash, or Grubhub, or Postmates, all the players, right? And so what I think was a novelty in the beginning, and people willing to pay extra for convenience, now they're learning that maybe they don't have to. And there are many restaurants that have their own delivery. Many of our Saladworks restaurants deliver. And so if a guest can get it direct from Saladworks for less money, then why wouldn't they, right? So I just think the guest is getting smarter. They're learning what they like and don't like, and they're figuring it out. Yeah. And so, we have to make sure that we're being, again, relevant for what they're looking for and make it easy for them to select Saladworks out of myriad options they have available to them.
Yeah, for sure. Peter, I want to kind of add on to that because with delivery takeout, marketing is a huge part of this. And do you feel that social media, whether it is integrating in actual transaction once that Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or any of the platforms really get into e-commerce development for restaurants where you can really gen it in and tie it to your bank account, do essentially an e-commerce transaction. Do you feel like that could really help leap the business forward, much like third party has in the past 9 months?
Yeah, absolutely. And going back, adding to what Mark said, I think consumers are definitely getting smarter. And I think there's a sentiment of wanting to support the restaurants directly when they make that purchase, and they understand there's restaurants are taking a big hit when they order through those platforms, and I think there's some feelings there, but another thing to talk about is loyalty apps with different brands. For example, I mean, when I order Chipotle, I order through their app. I wouldn't go through a third party because I get points, right? And that goes towards discounts and future rewards. So at Pokeworks, we're doing the same. We're adding delivery as a service through our website and our app to channel more of our customers through our own app and website, so that they can start building their loyalty and collecting points. And absolutely using social media, these marketing channels, we're going to be pushing for that a little bit more in 2020.
So okay, so you're pro that e-commerce is going to happen in social. How about you, Mark? Are you pro on e-commerce hitting social?
Yeah, and it's something that we're already doing. You can have a guest have a call to action button and order through the link that would take you to your website and ordering online. Or to Peter's point, we have built out individual pages where we give the guest a menu. Of course, we put Saladworks first, but if you are in a certain ecosystem and you get points for being a member of DoorDash or something like that, right? So I would agree on that, but I also think there are ways to get that linkage from a variety of different places. From your mobile app, we have Saladworks Rewards that we're just refreshing, and literally this past week are creating a variety of different new options. We work with Punch as our provider, and social media, as you mentioned, but wherever the guest is using a device, we want them to be able to make a one-click decision and be able to order right then.
Yeah, I think the point I was trying to get to is that with social, in essence, these platforms are much like the third-party delivery platforms, where they control the marketplace and eventually would control the transaction fees that would essentially be instilled upon the restaurant industry. So my concern, and I'm gonna bring this up in another session, and we're gonna dive in deeper on it, but my concern is, if social media goes in full force and realizes that, okay, direct to takeout is a real thing and it's a new trend, people are not wanting to pay the fees over there, but they in fact just leverage, maybe it's a 10% fee instead of a 30% fee for someone to order right through Facebook, okay, or through Twitter or TikTok. The question I'm getting at is, why would restaurants want to give that power back over to a marketplace versus really trying to utilize the tools to harvest from these platforms versus letting the guest or the consumers kind of build up in these platforms where all this data is going? And I know there's projects of trying to get data from Uber and all those guys, though not completely successful yet. I'm just concerned about that. Are you guys equally concerned, or do you feel like, no, we gotta live with these platforms and this is the way it is in the industry?
Got it.
What are your thoughts?
I'll go for I think we have to live with it. If that becomes the case, the reality is most of our consumers are on Instagram, are on Facebook, and that is the best way to connect to our customers. And if it's through those channels, I feel like there will be a more intimate connection with brands, with our social media presence, more so than the current 3PDs. So I see that as a potential.
Yeah, very cool. How about you, Mark?
Yeah,
you feel like it's just a necessary evil?
I'm concerned, but I'm concerned about a lot of things. But it's, as Peter mentioned, if it's the cost of doing business, you fold that into your business and you price accordingly. We have a separate price book for third-party delivery. I think almost everybody does, right? Sure. So, it's zigging and zagging as you navigate through new channels and new growth opportunities. And we're all faced with trying to grow against, the tremendous hurricane headwinds, right? Which is why you see, a lot of people going into digital brands. We're moving in that direction, and ghost kitchens and food trucks, and like I said, even testing robots. So there's a lot of different ways that we're all reaching out to try to gain more revenue at a time when our traditional form of revenue, dine-in, has literally dried up.
Away. Yeah, for sure. Gentlemen, I don't want to cut you short. I think we could go on for quite some time here, but we have some more sessions to cover here on Recover America. Mark and Peter, it's been great having both of you on. We definitely want to keep you friends of the shows here on Foodable Network. I'd love to have you come back soon and kind of dive deeper into each of your brands. Thanks for stopping in.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, that wraps up our event. Thank you to all our brand leaders and operators for joining in on the discussions today. And thank you to our viewers for attending Volume 2 of Recover America, the Restaurant Symposium. Make sure to keep an eye on your email for where you can catch the entire replay of today's sessions, and also be on the lookout for more great content like this in our upcoming virtual events in 2021. And of course, if you have the need for your own event, like this one, shoot us an email to virtual@foodabletv.com. For our regular Foodable Network programming, catch us on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and even Amazon Music now. We hope you enjoyed today's event and learned a few new tricks of the trade to revolutionize and revitalize your restaurant business. A special thanks to our premium partners VirusSafe Pro, WorkMerc, Tyson Foods, and Rever Networks, all of them for participating in today's event. That's all for today. We'll see you next time.